So, hello everybody and welcome to the inaugural EuroPeerathon. My name is Nathan and I am a UK-based Europeer. EuroPeerathon is an event in celebration of this year's Erasmus Days. We wanted to hold an event like this to try to bring back as much as a feeling as possible of international travel, meeting new people and sharing our cultures. We also wanted to give people an insight on Erasmus Plus from each of the perspectives from young people, organisations and national agencies. So that is why we are here today with 3 national agency representatives from their respective countries.
In its essence, what we do is we try to connect youngsters in Europe through youth work internationally, whether that is with projects that organizations can request by handing in a grant, or whether that is individuals who are searching for European opportunities. The core rule is that whatever we do cannot be connected to formal education.
Yeah, we're here as the representatives of the national agencies of the youth sector. There are also 3 other education sectors where there are specific national agencies. As you see, the structure is really different in each country, but as our main core part, as Thomas already said, we are contracted from the Commission to implement the European youth programs, the Erasmus Plus Youth and Action Program and the European Solidarity Corps.
So just following on from my colleagues, so really here in the UK we manage different areas of the programme. So we manage youth programmes, adult education, vet, and we essentially give organisations and young people funding to really carry out life-changing projects and to really impact on their communities and also the whole of Europe. So some brilliant work that we see on a day-to-day basis.
What we try to do on a day-to-day basis as national agencies is we try to connect youngsters and organizations all over Europe that learn to cooperate with each other. And by doing that, I believe that we are creating a continent, a European society that gets over a lot of thresholds that we have today. And I believe it's one of the biggest intercultural experiences we have in history of the world. And in that sense, for me, the importance of an NA is just building opportunities for young people and for organizations to get to know each other, to get to know European cultures beyond their own borders, and to really learn to cooperate with an international vibe. And for me, that is the core essence of the importance of a national agency.
I would like to add that like each country has its own field of youth organizations. Of the youth sector, it's structured differently, and what we do as a national agency is also translate from the national to the European level, and the other way around, from the European to the national level. We are kind of in between, helping understand the national youth sector for the European institutions and the other way around. So we get a lot of feedback from national organizations to give back to the European level, but we also have the European programs, which we help the organizations implement on the national level to adapt it to the national level. So we are kind of in a transmission role.
Yeah, I'd say really to summarise, we sort of act as a sort of bridge between sort of the European Commission and a lot of their policies and a lot of their vision, as well as we connect sort of young people and we connect people in our own countries to the opportunities that are available through the programme. And I think a lot of it is also a big responsibility from our side to make sure that these projects are running and they're offering good high quality placements, and I think also making sure that a lot of people, we can really spread the word out there and really ensure that everybody has access to this opportunity. So Yes, so if I could summarize it in a few words, I would say that is probably my sort of summary of that.
This will maybe sound very cliche, but I think the national agency chose to work with me in that sense that it, in my opinion, in my experience in the intercultural field of NGOs in Belgium, there are not many organizations that have a mission like a national agency does. And seeing that this mission is being carried out by my colleagues, by myself, not only in the professional field, but also in their private time, makes it a very vibrant setting to be working. You work on a day-to-day basis and you execute what the expectations are of the European Commission, but at the same time, you're really making a very, very small difference in the lives of other people, of young people, which makes it a very satisfying job once you know that you helped young people into the way of intercultural learning, non-formal learning, or foreign experiences.
Yeah, I decided to work at the NA level because I did a lot of intercultural work in the intercultural sector, and also like designing trainings for young people, doing vocational orientation offers for young people. And so it was quite of a natural step for me, as I saw it, looking back, you know. And also I'm a political scientist, so there's also this perspective that goes into my choice, that comes into my choice. And so, yeah, for me, was a good decision also because also adding to what Thomas said, we do have an interesting mix of tasks and also a lot of freedom to design our own events or trainings, or to help people, support young people participate like in the EuroPeers network.
I think my journey into working for the national agency was completely, well, it wasn't completely different. I studied biology at university. So I went from studying biology to working in a youth program, which is quite different. But I think really my passion for really giving back to young people and also volunteering was really close to my heart. So when I saw that the opportunity available, I sort of jumped at it. And so I am here where I am now. But I think it's also proof that sometimes life doesn't necessarily go the way you think it might, but as long as you follow your passion and your dreams, you know, you can really give back and, you know, work in a role that is more suited for you.
As you know, we have certain seasons in our national agency years. They're not spring, summer, autumn, winter, but they are more like 3 application rounds where organizations can apply for grants. So right now there was an application round at the beginning of October. So we're at the moment looking at their applications we got. And so most of my day right now is filled up with this, but at another times of the year, it's totally different. Like then I will be like, I come into the office and most of my time will be planning an event like a EuroPeers training or a EuroPeers annual event, or talking to trainers, talking to locations, stuff like that, or talking to European colleagues about like different events we are planning, different ideas about where can we go with our volunteering or traineeships and jobs or solidarity project formats.
For me, it's like when I'm trying to explain my job to friends or to people I get to know, I can choose 2 options. Or I scare them away by using words like European Commission, agency, grants, deadlines, and so on. Or I could try to engage them in a conversation where I use participation, changing young people's lives, And that's really the difference. Like, if you just look to our job from a very formal point of view, it could be seen as a very office type of job, 9 to 5 type of job. But in my experience, it is totally not that case. Also, Malta mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of freedom in your national agency to implement the ideas of the European Commission based on your national context. And that's exactly what makes it attractive to be working for a national agency. You can really implement ideas that you have, go to your directory team and discuss, as long as that is fitting within the vision of the European Commission, there's a high chance you can execute those ideas. So a normal day doesn't exist, basically. Long story short, it all started with this youth exchange in 2013. I got an email from the father of my ex-girlfriend back then saying, hey, it's about activism, it looks interesting, you should go there. Didn't really think about it, went there, and that basically was the start of a whole new world that opened. And I guess the people who are watching right now, if they have some similar experience where they just found this one magical international activity funded by Erasmus+, once you really get into it, it's very hard to leave it all behind. So for me, that was just one activity where it all started, where I got to know programs like back then called EVS, your European Voluntary Service. And then from there onwards, the ball just kept rolling. After 2 years in 2015, I did my EVS in Czech Republic, where I was part of the International Young Nature Friends, doing international youth work, basically youth projects, youth exchanges all over Europe.
That is amazing to hear, Thomas, as well, because I do wholeheartedly agree with you on a lot of those things. And like, for example, I always describe non-formal education as the ability to learn about yourself, others, and the world around you without the need of a textbook. And sometimes I think, especially with current education systems, that's a lot of people do miss that as well.
A really good point for young people that are looking for opportunities is Eurodesk, which is a website and it's dedicated to supporting young people find opportunities. In terms of Erasmus Plus and even European Solidarity Corps projects, I would say definitely have a look, do your research, and also follow your passion. There's some great projects you can get involved in, so really have a look around and have a look at what really inspires you and what you'd like to do, even the countries you perhaps would like to even visit. I think a good point as well to mention is that quite often going on an international experience can be quite daunting for some people, but the program does allow for in-country volunteering in some circumstances as well. So if you're a bit apprehensive about going abroad or a bit worried, you can always perhaps do a placement in your own country and then go abroad. So there's really a lot of opportunities out there, but I would say definitely look at websites like Eurodesk, the European Solidarity Corps website, the Erasmus Plus website, and also reach out to us. We're here to support you as well.
To whoever is watching that still is desiring a European opportunity in the next coming years, or that is looking for opportunities, I would say start with your own interests, start with your own curiosity. If you're doing some kind of like a hobby like football or dancing or whatever, try to figure out a project or create your own project that starts from your passion, because I think that is the most wonderful learning experience anyone can have interculturally, to do voluntary work that is in line with their own passion. So
yeah, I want to just say to all the EuroPeers out there, keep inspiring other young people with your stories. It's a really amazing and basically really simple concept to just share your stories and inspire other people. Thank you.
So I think echoing Malte and Thomas as well, big thank you to EuroPeers and the hard work that you've been doing so far. And just ending on a quote. I'm not sure who originally quoted this, but young people have the power to change the world. And I think we all believe that here today. So carry on doing what you do best.
Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to our second day of our EuroPeerathon. I would like to start off by saying happy Erasmus Day and to thank everyone that joined us yesterday for our interview with the national agency. Everyone that is with us today. We have an interview with Andrew Hadley from Momentum World and Sabrina Apitz, which is an Erasmus Plus trainer. So I'd like off just to start by saying hello and thank you to Andrew and Sabrina for joining us.
I'm Andrew. I'm CEO of Momentum World. It's a company which I set up with two other people, Paul and Trevor. Some of you will know them, about 12 years ago. We are very active in the European youth field. Done probably more than 200 projects in the last 10 years of different kinds. And my background was originally in the British Council. I worked in lots of different parts of the world doing intercultural and educational work. And that's still my main motivation, is how do we get people together and across cultures to understand each other, work together, learn together, and very important, have fun together.
Yes, I'm Sabrina. I'm a trainer, but my whole Erasmus Plus career, let's say, started when I did my own European voluntary service in, I think, 2001. So a long time ago. And I did it in Italy. And afterwards I came back and I was a young person, not very organized, not really close to an organization or anything. I was more kind of loose with my friends. And when I came back from the European Voluntary Service, Germany started a network which is now called EuroPeers. In that moment it wasn't, but it was just an idea. And I was so-called one of the first EuroPeers, and this is how it started. So I kept on going there. I did a lot of projects, small scale, afterwards also large scale. So we started with small workshops in schools, and then later on we also did a youth exchange on our own. And then a few years later, I started to also be a trainer. First, of course, as a junior trainer. So I learned a bit from others to be a trainer for the European trainings. And this is how it started for me. And from there, I also did develop my own competences as a trainer further in the training of trainers, for example, by Salto. And afterwards, I started also to do other trainings. If you would have asked me this a couple of months ago, or even more than a half a year ago, I would definitely said traveling, because I really like to be in a move in my job. Yeah, I did a lot of training somewhere else, so traveled a lot and met all these other people. And now it's a bit different. So it's not that traveling anymore, like moving physically in a moment. But I realized and I noticed that it's still the same. So the whole community, which is working in international youth work, let's say, is still very much connected, even a bit more in a moment. So we really try to keep together, to exchange, to share, to develop new projects, online or not. And I think this international environment is really what gives me a lot. So I do a lot still in the European network. It's a hard project for me, I think. It's one of my favorite, and I love to be with young people still and feel myself still at the European, even if I'm a bit older now. So, but yeah, I'm very much connected to these active young people still, and it gives me a lot. So really, it holds me myself young, I would say.
Those of us who work in anything educational, especially non-formal education, there are a lot of things that we don't get. We don't get a lot of recognition sometimes, and we certainly don't get a lot of money. And the reason for telling you this will come clear. I have friends from my university days who reached very senior jobs and made huge amounts of money, some of them in very successful business careers. But there's something that we have that they never have and they can never get, which is that very frequently young people will come up to me and or to any of us who work in this field and say, this has changed my life. And that is something which has you can't put a price on that. And the privilege of being even a small part of helping somebody to do better in life is a fantastic job satisfaction. My favorite project right now is a project which we have been running for the last few years and is now entering a new phase. It's called Time for Tea. Some of you know about it. This is a youth advocacy project. So it's all about how do you give young people a voice? How do you enable young people to find out about important issues, to communicate with the decision makers, and to create their own ideas? And what we do is we use tea as the medium for creating that process. It's a very creative kind of project. It enables a dialogue to take place between young people, older people, communities, and so on. It's completely international. But one of the things about it is that it enables that to happen in a creative way and in a way that is not confrontational. What we're trying to do is to create a process that can happen inside schools, inside youth groups, or independently, but is not creating a kind of a sense of a threat, but really focused on the dialogue. And I think it's a great project. If you don't know about it, please find out, because everybody can get involved in it. And it's actually a fantastic project for EuroPeers because it's ready-made for young people to lead those activities.
I have a project in my mind, which is quite a long time ago already, and it was also my Future Capital project, which was a former Erasmus Plus possibility to get funding. And I went to Peru with a group of young people. We all went in an area which is very close to Lima, to the capital, but in the countryside, very much in the mountains. We found an approach through approaching the children and young people to organize a huge carnival. Yeah, we put ourselves with costumes, we did little juggling and all that stuff, these things on the street, in order to get the attention of the parents. Yeah, as soon as you get familiar and get the children and young people as friends, they are a lot more trustful and open. So we actually worked for a couple of weeks there after they got the trust to us, and worked on actually the fact that exactly the young people are leaving this place to Lima. But it's such a nice place. The quality of life is so good, and we'd all talked about that a little bit, and came up with the idea to apply for a Cultural Heritage Prize for these terraces, which they got for 2 years then.
Yes, I think there are just two things which I'll say very briefly. One is Erasmus Plus is probably the only real program which supports international projects. So our work is all about international opportunities for young people. So Erasmus Plus is incredibly important as a program. And secondly, it creates opportunities for young people. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that Erasmus Plus, and nowadays also, of course, the Solidarity, European Solidarity Corps, exactly does what it does with what it did with me, changing definitely my direction of life. So I think without the European Voluntary Service, I wouldn't have gone this way, not at all. And I think this is, for a lot of young people, the case, that they change a little bit, not just the professional direction, but maybe also the way of looking at things, yeah, the way of approaching things. So There is one opportunity in the moment, which is not Erasmus Plus, but it's an easygoing opportunity to start to think about doing a project. And especially nowadays when we are all in kind of lockdowns and we are not able to meet really so easily, I think it's a solidarity project by the European Solidarity Corps. It's a quite easy, accessible program in order to develop your own project for 5 people in total, young people who want to change something, but on a regional level, yeah? So in the UK or in Germany, it should also have a European dimension, so it can be about environmental issues, for example, which is a European topic too, yeah? So I think that's an easy way. And other ways of finding projects is that you connect with youth organizations, I think, who are working internationally, because they are mostly involved in youth exchanges. So I think from one day to another, you're not developing your own youth exchange and apply for it and all that. I think that takes a while. So you should first take part in one, maybe also help as a volunteer or a facilitator in one, and then later on you can organize your own. So you find it through youth organizations who are internationally working. There are Facebook groups outside and all that. And to become a trainer, I think there is no one way story. So if you would ask me, I would tell you my story. You ask another trainer who would tell his or her story. Yeah, it's not so easy going, but especially if you're really interested in it, I think starting as a facilitator in workshops, or what Andrew also said, yeah, this time for tea to start facilitating certain events in a way, yeah, that's how it could start. And as a European, I think you're in best basis to do that, to do your own project and facilitate things, and then try to develop your own competences further in trying to find training courses which helps you in that, training of trainers, training for trainers, things like that. And then from there, I think sharing with other trainers, and trying to hop in as your junior also, yeah. Job shadowing, can I take part a bit, which is now easier also online, yeah. So that could be an option. So anybody who's interested can also contact me.
The easy answer to the advice is to go for it. Everybody says that. I think a more detailed answer is that if you're thinking about joining a project, you should ask some questions about it. You should find out about the quality of the experience that you're going to be given, because there are good projects, there are some weaker projects, and you need to find out whether you're going to get a really good experience. So find out about the quality, particularly find somebody who has been to that place or worked with that organization before. What kind of experience did they have? And then you'll get a personal recommendation, and that will give you the confidence that you need. My takeaway message would be referring to my own life. When I first went abroad, I was 8 years old with my parents. We left the UK in a ship and went to a holiday in France. And the experience of seeing your country receding into the distance with the water separating you from your own country and going out into the unknown is one of the most exciting things still in my life that ever happened to me. It set the course for my life, probably that moment. And I would recommend everybody to get that experience. Now, if you live in a country which is not by the sea and you can't go by sea to somewhere else, okay, just try it. Go to a lake, even a small one, find a boat and just cross the lake, and you'll get something of the idea of what that experience is like. So just try it.
I would go for this kind of learning which you can get, because I think we all are still socialized a lot with a formal learning which we know from school, and which is quite different from how we learn in these kind of projects, yeah, in these international projects. It's non-formal learning, as we know. And I think it opens really your mind, your everything. Yeah, it is something else is happening, and you have the feeling, okay, from now on, I will always learn my life. There is no end. So that's a different kind of learning. And I have still so often these kind of aha moments where I think, oh, whew, I haven't thought about it in this way. So really nice. So, and I think this is where you should come with an open mind in terms of learning. And that's also my message to all of you, that joining one project or even more than, yeah, I think you could always join projects then from there on in different roles also. It will not stop for you a learning process, which is really nice and which gives you a lot for your further life, I think. So